Good morning, everyone. I'm going to begin this morning by telling a little joke. I haven't told a joke in a really long time, and I decided today was a good day to tell a joke. So this is the joke about the Pope and the Rabbi. Several centuries ago, the Pope decreed that all Jews had to convert to Catholicism or leave Italy. There was a huge outcry from the Jewish community. So the Pope offered a deal. He'd have a religious debate with the leader of the Jewish community. If the Jews won, they could stay in Italy. If the Pope won, they had to convert or leave. The Jewish people met and picked an aged and wise rabbi to represent them in the debate. However, as the rabbi spoke no Italian and the Pope spoke no Yiddish, they agreed that it would be a silent debate. On the chosen day, the Pope and the rabbi sat opposite each other, and the Pope raised his hand and showed 3 fingers. The rabbi looked back and raised 1 finger. Next, the Pope waved his finger around his head, and the rabbi pointed to the ground where he sat. The Pope brought out communion wafer and a chalice of wine, and the rabbi pulled out an apple. With that, the Pope stood up and declared himself beaten and said that the rabbi was too clever. The Jews could stay in Italy. Later, the cardinals met with the Pope and asked him what had happened. And the Pope said, "First, I held up 3 fingers to represent the Trinity." He responded by holding up a single finger to remind me that there is still only one God common to both our beliefs. Then I waved my finger around my head to show that God was all around us. And the rabbi responded by pointing to the ground to show that God was always right here with us. I pulled out the wine and the wafer to show that God absolved us of all our sins. And the rabbi pulled out an apple to remind me of the original sin. He bested me at every move, and I could not continue. Meanwhile, the Jewish community gathered to ask the rabbi how he'd won. "I haven't a clue," said the rabbi. "First, he told me we had 3 days to get out of Italy, so I gave him the finger. Then he tells me that the whole country would be cleared of Jews, and I told him that we were staying right here." "And then what?" asked the woman. "Who knows?" said the rabbi. "He took out his lunch, so I took out mine." So just a little lightness for the morning. So I had the pleasure of being with the Southwest Unity Region Board retreat this past week. And as we discussed the annual conference, I found myself saying, celebrate the goodness. And I've taken this affirmation into my life this week. And I'm really living into what it means to celebrate the goodness in our lives. Celebrating the goodness has a lot to do with exercising the power of wisdom, which is also referred to as the power of judgment, discernment, and intuition. There is another word that I would put with wisdom, and that is the power of grace, which I see as the feminine side of wisdom. And so in Unity, we have a traditional teaching about these 12 innate powers within us. And on the first Sunday of the month for this entire year, we're going to focus on one of those powers. And today, we're focusing on the power of wisdom. Now, this power of wisdom, the color is yellow. It's bright yellow, and it's located in the solar plexus. So wisdom is often thought of as having a gut feeling or just a knowing that you know. It's the nudge to do something or the answer to a question that you've been asking. Wisdom is represented by the disciple James, son of Zebedee. And the feminine side is represented by Mary, the mother of the sons of Zebedee. Zebedee means God's gift, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee, the mother of the sons of God's gift, is our feminine side that recognizes and nurtures the wisdom that is latent within us. She brings forth that power of grace. The power of grace is also known as the power of joy. Wisdom is the birthplace of joy in our lives. The mother within us nurtures this joy to bring it into fullness. Being a Mary, she is a healing agent who brings the power to heal anything that stands in the way of our living our fullness, and doing so as only a mother can, with love, compassion, mercy, gentleness, and ease. This spiritual nature is closely linked to our heart, where James's brother resides. His brother is John. And in fact, Charles Fillmore said that there's a nerve center. So John is in the heart, and right behind the heart and down is a nerve center. And when the wisdom of our solar plexus and our heart connect together, it's like a clap of thunder. These two are called sons of thunder. And so when we join together wisdom with divine love, then there's a surge of power that goes through every atom and cell of our being, empowering us to act on that wisdom. Because it's one thing to hear the wisdom, and it's a completely different thing to actually act on that wisdom. It is this wisdom that leads us into a life of freedom, freedom from fear, anxiety, and all that would stand in the way of our living a joy-filled life. Wisdom is the power that gives us the answers to any and all questions that arise, and is the guiding force that knows our highest, best, and empowers us to move in that direction. Wisdom activates the celebration within of our goodness and the goodness that we experience and create in this life. So are you ready? Are you ready to jump into the power of wisdom? So I'm going to begin with the story of the Transfiguration. I'm taking it from the Gospel of Luke, the 9th chapter, verses 28 through 36. Now, about 8 days after these sayings, Jesus took with him Peter and John and James and went up the mountain to pray. And while he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly, they saw 2 men, Moses and Elijah, talking to him. They appeared in glory and were speaking of his departure, which he was about to accomplish in Jerusalem. Now, Peter and his companions were weighed down with sleep, but since they had stayed awake, they saw his glory and the 2 men who stood with him. And just as they were leaving, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah," not knowing what he said. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were terrified as they entered the cloud. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my son, my beloved. Listen to him." When the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent, and in those days told no one any of the things they had seen. So if we look at this story from a metaphysical standpoint, we want to look at the characters that are in the story. Peter represents the power of faith. John represents love. And James represents wisdom. Jesus represents that Christ presence that is within us, the the God presence that is within us. And Moses and Elijah represent the law and the effect of the law, or cause and effect. So Jesus took these three powers into a higher state of consciousness, into this state of consciousness that was the fulfillment of spiritual law and effect, or cause and effect. When we look at these powers and their connection with each other, we can see how together they empower us to live from a place of spiritual law, which is the law of love itself. And the effect of that love is wisdom, revealed as a purity of consciousness that outpictures in the world. Peter wanted to build 3 shrines. And isn't that true? When we enter into that state of consciousness where we've taken faith, love, and wisdom, and we're in a higher state of consciousness, and we can just feel the presence, and we hear those sacred words that are coming from that still small voice within us. Don't we want to recreate that? Don't we want to kind of build a shrine around it and mark it as holy, and think that so that next time I can come and I can go into this and it'll be the same? But it's not the same. We try to recreate it and it doesn't happen. Because when we go up into these higher states of consciousness, when we take faith, love, and wisdom into these higher states of consciousness, we are anew each time we do that. And so the experience that we have will not be the same. And the effect will not be the same. So let's explore this a little deeper. In the book of James, chapter 3, verse 17, it says, "But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy." I'm going to say that again. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. Wisdom is pure. Wisdom is untainted by envy or greed. Wisdom, like love, does not think only of itself. It is a power that, working together with love, is the activity of grace in action. Grace is the activity of spirit that works through us and as our lives with the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect are the spiritual laws upon which this world is governed. Cause is thought or idea. Cause always begins as a pure idea, and it can become tainted in the subconscious mind before we actually become conscious of it. It begins as a pure thought. An effect is the result of cause. When we activate the power of grace within us, we activate the hearing of original thought. We activate that original thought through the power of our intuition, and we obtain an effect. Spiritual law is forever and always true, and always the precursor to whatever we create in our experience. Wisdom is peaceable. Wisdom is peaceable does not mean that we never experience conflict or challenges, or that we all agree on all matters. No, it means that we have within us a power that is our guiding source. that we can count on to lead us in the way that we are to go. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is our ability to trust in the wisdom within us and to act on the answers we receive. When we act from our wisdom, there's a peace that passes the understanding of this world. It just doesn't make sense sometimes. But we feel this inner calm and empowered to take that next step while letting go of the outcome. Wisdom as peace is the ability to release our old beliefs of limited thinking. Wisdom is gentle. It does not force itself on anyone or anything. It is that which empowers us to stand in our highest understanding in any moment, while allowing others to stand in their highest understanding too. Wisdom is not a force that overpowers us. You know the energy I'm talking about. You know, you get that idea and there's this surge of energy that goes through your body. And it's like, yes, I'm going to do that. Yes. And somehow the energy just, it does one of two things. Either that big burst of energy, you know, if you act on it, it kind of blows everybody out of the park. It's like a tornado coming through. Or it can be that place where it just fizzles out. We get that idea, burst of energy, and then it fizzles out and we don't do anything with it. Wisdom is gentle. In Buddhism, they call this surge of energy and the attachment to my idea, they call that craving. We crave something and dress it up to appear as if it's good for us and for everyone else. When we release the craving and listen within for the still small voice, this is the voice of wisdom. It can also be called the voice of intuition. It does not force itself. It is open and allows itself to be heard with clarity. Spirit always speaks in a language that we can understand. Always. Spirit is not playing tricks on us. Spirit is not trying to get us to guess what our spirit within us wants and desires and what is that wise next step for us to take. It's not a guessing game. Spirit always speaks in a language that we can clearly understand. Wisdom is willing to yield. Wisdom is the power of flexibility. It is not rigid and unyielding. It moves with the energy of the moment. An example might be when we get the idea that is life-changing. For instance, my daughter has returned to school to get her degree. And when she began taking classes, she had the idea that she was quite excited about it, about becoming a vocational therapist assistant. And as she started taking classes, the classes were igniting something within her, and she was getting excited about it. And she thought, maybe I could go for the gold. Maybe I could become a vocational therapist. And then she thought, well, maybe I want to be a psychologist. When we yield to wisdom, when we enter into that flexibility of wisdom, we recognize that we might have an idea, but we only have a little bit of the picture. And then we may get more wisdom and make a left turn. And we may get more wisdom and make a right turn. The flexibility of wisdom is like the flexibility of a tree. The tree blows in the wind and it bends. And as the tree bends in the wind, it makes room for more. More good, more peace, more love, more fun. Wisdom is full of mercy and good fruits. Mercy is defined as compassion and forgiveness towards someone whom it is your power to punish or harm. This demonstration of mercy and good fruits is another demonstration of the power of wisdom as grace. It is through grace that we are compassionate and forgiving. It is through grace that we let go of circumstances and people who have acted not from their wisdom and we have been harmed or punished. It is also the grace that allows us to let go and forgive those times within ourselves when we have not acted from our wisdom and we have behaved in ways that may have harmed or punished someone else. It is grace that nurtures the wisdom within us to express the truth of who we are and what we have come here to express. Have you come to be peace, love, wise, gracious, faithful, a paradigm shifter? Wisdom as mercy and good fruits empowers us to stand in our truthful expression, even in the midst of conflict. When we speak of this conflict, sometimes this conflict is not from outside ourselves, but arises from old thought patterns of who we thought we were supposed to be and what we thought we were capable of doing. Wisdom as mercy can be mercy towards ourselves. I have a little story I too want to share right here. I was listening to a podcast this week from Brené Brown, and she had on there, her guest speaker was a woman named Glennon Doyle, who has written a book called Untamed. And as they were in the conversation, Brené shared this story about an encounter she had with her son. So Brené comes home from a tour or something, and she gets home just in enough time to just change her clothes, get back in the car, and her son has a swim meet, and she could get to the swim meet on time to see her son do the swim meet. And every part of her body was saying, no, I can't do one more thing. I need some downtime. I need some alone time. And so she had to let go of the old thought pattern of good mothers show up at their son's swim meet. And so her son and husband come home from the swim meet. She asks him how it went. And, he's a teenage boy. Okay, she didn't get much out of him. Well, the next morning, she had, and she explained to him why she didn't show up at the swim meet. She just explained that she really needed some alone time. And she really needed to kind of refuel. And so the next morning he comes downstairs, and she had asked him for a list of what he wanted for his birthday. And he hands her the list. And at the very top of the list, it said, alone time. And she said, tell me about this. And he said, sometimes we have lots of company around, or there's lots of things going on. And sometimes, and I'm expected to be a part of it. And sometimes I just want to go to my room and be alone. And I never knew I could ask for that. So when she followed the wisdom within her heart, and then explained to him why she followed that wisdom, it gave him permission to follow the wisdom within his heart. And so I want to say that when we stand in our wisdom, when we stand in our gifts, we empower others to stand in their wisdom and stand in their gifts too. So wisdom is without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. Wisdom does not engage in comparison or one-upmanship. There is no other in wisdom. Wisdom does not tell us how to outdo someone else or to look at someone else with disdain. Wisdom invites us into a world of equanimity. Wisdom reveals to us where our biases lie. It is time for us to come into a realization of what our biases are and to realize them in order to make room for more good to come into our life and the life of those around us. As long as we hold biases, which are judgments against someone for what they do from their beliefs or how they look, we will live from a consciousness of limitation. We can no longer say we are inclusive and close our hearts to anyone. Wisdom is the power of discernment and intuition. Discernment is a process of unfolding the wisdom within us and determining the actions to take in order to bring it into manifestation. Much like my daughter's experience of going to school, we first get a glimpse of one piece of the puzzle, and then we pray, and more is revealed. I have lived for many years with the affirmation, I am on an as need to know basis. What I need to know, I know. This affirmation opens me to be willing to hear the next divine idea and to contemplate, to sit with it by joining with it in the power of love. And intuition is that nudge that we get from sitting with the question. Intuition invites us to step beyond our current understanding of the activity of spirit in our lives, to broaden our experiences by being willing to release whatever limits us. Discernment and intuition are the tools we use to make decisions in our lives. And when we make a choice to know that we live under spiritual law of cause and effect, we call this experience into our lives through the power of wise choice. Now, sometimes what holds us back is a fear that we will make the wrong decision. There's no wrong decisions when we utilize these tools. There are no wrong decisions when we engage wisdom and love. Oh, no matter what your decision is, the decision that you make, you are fully supported. If it is a decision that is not in your highest and best interest, you will be provided ample opportunities to choose again. Many years ago, I had the experience of driving home from a trip. I was processing a decision. This was a life-changing decision. No matter what decision I made, it was going to be a life-changing decision. And I really didn't know what to do. And so I let it go. I let go of thinking about it. And all of a sudden in my left ear, I heard clearly as if a person was standing there. It doesn't matter what choice you make. It is your choice, and you are fully supported. This was one of the most freeing moments in my life. I could make a choice and spirit would support me. I didn't have to know exactly, the choice to make because there was no wrong choice. And the minute I made that choice, everything fell into place. Everything. Not a single thing was left undone. Everything fell into place. And I was fully supported in that choice. Wisdom is a gift. It is a gift that we activate in our lives in order to live fully as divine presence that we are created to be. It is from this awakened divine presence that we truly make a difference in the world. Oh, and don't forget to celebrate the goodness of all that you create through the powers of faith, love, and wisdom. And so now I want to invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. You may want to feel the ground beneath your feet. The pressure of your body in the chair. And allow yourself to breathe. Take a minute to relax, to let go. And as we relax, we drop down into the heart. And we breathe the heart. We feel this breath, breathing the heart as if the heart was breathing itself. And then we drop down even farther. We drop down into the solar plexus. And we see a yellow light, a bright yellow light. And this light radiates. It shines forth like a sun in all directions, filling all aspects of our being with this bright yellow light. This is the light of wisdom. And we awaken this wisdom power within us. And we see this energy move up, and it moves up behind and just below the heart and joins together with that power of love. It is in this sacred place that we listen. And again, allowing ourselves to take that sacred breath, to become aware of our body sitting in the chair. Giving thanks and gratitude for the activity of wisdom in, through, and as our lives, knowing that we are fully supported and fully guided. And so again, we just take in that sacred breath. And when you are ready, open your eyes.